Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I felt like I may have sped up a little bit at the end of that video and not really given things their proper due. So what I want to do is I want to walk through for a minute how these permissions work and how we reference them so that you can continue to make your dashboard more dynamic. So just to be clear on something, in fact, let's look at it in the database. If I pull up this table of permissions here, you can see that I have permission 1 is user, permission 2 is admin, permission 3 is manager, 4 is kiosk, and 5 is cashier. Now, the first thing to understand is that these are not in any kind of particular order. In other words, like admin is obviously not below user, and manager is not above admin. These are just individual permissions, and we can use them however we want. Consider them groups. And so, for instance, most of the administrative tasks, like adding users and adding money to the system, you probably want to only be handled by somebody who is an admin or a manager. There may be some other things, like a kiosk person. You basically only want them to be able to do kiosk things. And then as we look at cashiers and stuff, they obviously need to be able to charge accounts, but maybe they can't add money to accounts. We can make that decision as we go along. So we have these permissions, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of matter for that type of thing. So we come back to the code, and we can see that basically, for our purposes, the user permission level, permission 1, means nothing. That basically is almost like jail. They log in and they should see nothing. Basically, you have to give somebody one of these other permission levels for something important to happen. And the reason for that is if somebody were to come and sign up on the site, we don't really want them to have any power by default. We want you to have to give them some kind of power. So for our purposes, user 1 doesn't really mean anything, but the other 4 do. So when we come here and we look at this statement, we're saying that basically these kiosk things, checking the balance and setting arguments, as far as we're concerned, if you're an admin, if you're a manager, if you are a kiosk, or if you are a cashier, it's perfectly fine if you do these. There's no harm in them. You're only checking balances and stuff like that. But now I'm going to copy this thing here. And when you look at something like adding a student to the system, and I'll copy this little snippet down here too. When you talk about adding a student to the system, now that's powerful. Like you're assigning a new RFID badge and all of that kind of stuff. So in that situation, we only want the manager and the admin to be able to add a new user to the system. Now searching, we really haven't decided very much about what we're doing for searching, but let's go ahead and assume that right now we only want managers and admins to be able to search for students. So really what I can do is, instead of just blocking out this one, I can actually drop this all the way down here, and now we're saying that only managers and students can do this. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a couple of users and see how this looks. So let's come back to our dashboard here, and if we go to dashboard, let's just start here. So if we go to users and manage users, then we have two of them. We have kiosk and admin. So let's go ahead. Kiosk was the one that we temporarily reassigned to only user. So we're going to come back here and we're going to give kiosk their kiosk permission back. So now if I come here and look, they have kiosk and user. So now what we're going to do is we are going to make a new user. And so let's go to, where is that at? I don't use that part very much. So let's go to users, and we're going to manually add a user, and we are going to call this person manager at AOL.com, and then we're going to give them a password of password and password. Just, again, we're offline. None of this really matters. I'm going to add the user. Now we're going to come to their permission settings, and we are going to make this person a manager. And just for the heck of it, we can actually allow them to have the permissions of kiosk and cashier as well. And so now because basically these two permissions in our eyes are lower, and if a manager walks over to a cash register, we want to allow them to be able to sign in. So let's make one more user, and we'll come back to users and manually add user, and we're going to call it cashier. And I'll bet you know what I'm going to do here. Cashier, cashier, and then we're going to say cashier at AOL.com, and then we're going to say let's say password and password, and then we're going to add them. Then we come to the permissions. Now cashier is a lower person on the totem pole. Actually, that means they're more important, but we're gonna give them the permissions of cashier and kiosk. So if we come and look at our users, this one can do anything. This one is just a kiosk. This one can basically do anything, but you'll see the difference in a minute. And this one will primarily be able to do the point of sale type stuff, which we really haven't done very much with that. So if I were to log out and come here to log in, and I do kiosk and password, now you'll see the only two things that the kiosk can do is settle arguments and do the and check the balance. And in fact, like, I haven't made these links, so they're not going to go anywhere yet. Now if I log back out and I log in as manager, then they get all of the links on here because the manager can basically do anything on here. Now what the manager can't do is go into that dashboard where they manage the whole system. So yeah, they don't have anywhere near as much permission as an admin. All those other menus are gone. There's no way, if they actually came here to users and did admin.php, they're just going to get redirected. They're blocked from visiting that kind of stuff. And then the last one we have is what? The cashier. So cashier and then password. So when they log in, they can see these two things, and then eventually they'll be able to see the cashier ones and all that kind of stuff. So basically every single person has their own role and things that they can see and things they can't see. So we have a couple of minutes. Let's drag the code back over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at these just a little bit more. Let's walk our way through them. So this one is right. This one is going to newstudent.php, which is right because it's the new student card. This one here is the search one, and that's still going to newstudent.php. So where we want to go is studentsearch.php. So we're going to change this to studentsearch.php. And then, so our icon is good and all that's good. We're trying to find students, so that's fine. And then the next one we want to go to is the, let's see, this is, what do we, oh, check balance. Okay, so let's say that we want to, so check balance is written here, and we want to go to kiosk checkbalance.php. So kiosk. I think this should be pretty obvious what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that the links on each of these cards is going to the right place. And then this one is the argument settler. So we are going to put this to argue.php. So nice and simple. Argue, kiosk check balance, student search, and new student. So if I save this and then I come back here and I log back in as admin, now I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I can see that if I click this one, I go to the new students. This one, I go to the search. This one, I go to the check balance. And this one, I go to the argument settler. So all of those links are right. All of that's working. So what we may want to do is so these two icons are fine, and we may get rid of some of these numbers. And so, but let's look at this one here. So the check balance. Let's go to the Font Awesome cheat sheet. And so let's say, what would we, maybe bank? Yeah, there's a bank one. Okay. So let's change that icon, the check balance one, to the bank, or whatever you want to change it to. Check balance. So instead of search, we're going to call that the bank. And then this one is the argument settler. So I don't really know what would be a good, hey, balance scale. That's kind of cool right there. Let's grab that one and put that right here for the argument settler. And now, if we go to the dashboard, they each have their own icon. So, as far as I'm concerned, not all of these will need to have the text like this. And in fact, what I'm thinking is that maybe we even want to get rid of this bottom part. Maybe we just want to put add students or check balance. Let's take a look at that. Let's see how that looks. If I come over here and at the top one, maybe I just do add students. This is really, again, this is another thing where it's your system. You can kind of do whatever you want. So the second one, let's do find students. I'll tell you what, I have an idea. Okay, let's get rid of this. So there's no count there. And I have an idea. What if instead of doing this whole add more thing here, what if we get rid of this? Let me show you on the, it's probably hard for you to tell on the code. What if instead of putting the 11 here, down here, if there's something interesting, we can put you have 11 students. So let's do that. Let's come here to this add more thing and put you have blank students. Okay, and then we can get rid of this one. So let's just see how that looks. I think that's the way to go. I think that's really the way to go, where we do find students, we get rid of the find one, and then we'll do check balance. Yeah, let's do that. So, all right, the first one is done, and in fact, let's go ahead and make that our new default card. So I'm going to copy that over here to test. And then we're going to come down to this one. Find students is fine, and then I don't remember what that one is. So center students. Yeah, so find students search. So I don't think we need anything there, right? Search H4. I'm drawing a blank here. All right, H4 students. Let's look at that real quick. See what I'm looking at. Add students. Yeah, see, I don't even know that we need a word there. I think we can get rid of the words below that. We're simplifying as we go, and this will make all of this stuff faster. So let's get rid of this H4 on that one. And on every one of those things, we're going to get rid of that. So the only thing we're going to show then is... Ooh, what did I do? It's Control Z. Oh, I got rid of 2. You saw that. I know you saw me do that. So if I come here and save this now, we're going to just say you have 11 students, add students with the icon. Perfect. So we're going to go through this part relatively quickly. We're going to get rid of students off of this row, and there's really nothing, we're not going to put any text in this. There's really nothing to say below find student. Find student. And this one, we can get rid of that there. And then this one, instead of saying there are whatever at the top, we're going to just put check balance at the top. Okay, and then we can leave this blank in case we decide we want to put something in here later. And then finally, this one is settle arguments, so we're going to put settle arguments up at the top. And then we're going to get rid of this text. Again, I hope you see, one thing I want to say as I'm sitting here just clearing out this text is that part of the reason why I decided to build this app on the fly is I want you to see mistakes. I want you to see like the process of going through here and seeing, I don't like this. This isn't right. This isn't good. This isn't ideal. I write code for a living. I get paid to do this, and you may laugh after you watch me code, but I'm going to delete these 2 numbers, the number 11 on those things. But, you know, coding is problem solving. And if you can learn how to go through this stuff and just solve the problems and make it look the way you want it to, then you're going to people are going to want to hire you. If you can do things reliably and on time, people are going to want to hire you. So anyway, we've cleaned up our dashboard and we're at the 15-minute point. So I will see you in the next video and we'll do something else fun. Have a great day.